We are living in really sick and destructive times in the Western world. The obvious racism and now encouragement of violence against white people is completely out of hand. Get a load of this. CBS, one of the biggest broadcasters in America, recently tweeted out this scene from their show, The Good Fight, in which one of the main characters monologues to camera and says, "It's time to punch a few Nazis." Here's the clip.
Is it all right to hit a Nazi unprovoked? I was always taught to never throw the first punch, never instigate. Defend, but don't attack. But then I saw a video of the white nationalist Richard Spencer being punched in the face during an interview, and I realized Spencer was in a pressed suit, wearing a tie, being interviewed like his opinion mattered, like he should be considered part of the conversation, like neo-Nazism was just one political point of view. And then I realized there's no better way to show some speech is not equal. Some speech requires a more visceral response. It's like Overton's window. That's the term from which ideas are tolerated in public discourse. Well, Overton's window doesn't mean shit unless it comes with some enforcement. So yeah, this is enforcement. It's time to punch a few Nazis.
Unbelievable. Well, since Nazis haven't been around for almost 75 years, what kind of people do you think he's talking about? The answer is, of course, white people that the left disagrees with. Let's be clear. This is a major US network advocating for violence. Do I even need to bother pointing out if this were a white guy talking about violence against any particular group? CBS would lose its broadcasting license instantly. How is the FCC letting CBS get away with this? I remember back in the day when Howard Stern would swear on the air and the FCC would target him. Now you can openly abuse and direct hostility toward a group of people based on their skin color on a popular TV show without impunity, no cancellations, no fines, no pulled license to broadcast, nothing. CBS knows exactly what they're doing when they air an episode like this, especially using a black guy to promote the concept speech equals violence. They are purposely escalating tensions between whites and blacks, and I believe the reason is because they want to start a race war. I know. Who cares if they say punch a Nazi? Nazis are evil, right? Of course, but here's the problem. All kinds of people are called Nazis these days. Certainly anyone who voted for Donald Trump might be considered Nazi by leftist standards, or maybe a white supremacist, or at least people who supported a Nazi. So how bad could it be to punch a Nazi supporter after all? The term Nazi and white supremacist have been watered down to the point where almost any white kid could be labeled. Oh, you don't think so? You're white and liberal? How could you be labeled? Easily. You benefit from white privilege and all your accomplishments are meaningless. Plus, your family has only been successful because of the oppression of others. So there, unless you surrender everything you own and beg forgiveness for existing, you've benefited from white supremacy in the past. Do you see how psychotic some of these concepts are and how any white person can be labeled? Okay, so let's get back to that TV promo. I think CBS loves this tactic, and I doubt they'll face any real consequences because this is a very popular sentiment right now. One theory is that the left is aiming to dehumanize white people and coach society into believing whites are evil. That way, it's easy to justify violence against them. Author David Livingston Smith says, when people dehumanize others, they actually conceive of them as subhuman creatures. Only then can the process liberate aggression and exclude the target of aggression from the moral community. Now, when you encourage the populace to attack whites on the basis of their beliefs and speech, bad things are going to happen. I realize mainstream media would have you believe whites are the perpetrators of crimes against minorities like blacks, for example, but the truth is most of the time it's the other way around. The breakdown in arrests from FBI stats in 2016 show in terms of race, black people are still vastly overrepresented in virtually every crime category, despite making up just 13% of the population. According to the book The Color of Crime by Edwin S. Rubenstein, FBI crime stats calculate that there are roughly 600,000 interracial crimes of violence involving blacks and whites every year. And 85% of the time, it's blacks attacking whites. That means a black person is 27 times more likely to attack a white person than vice versa. So back to my overall point. When intellectuals and TV writers condemn white people and advocate for violence against them, the effect can trickle down to violent young men. Even worse, the hatred can fall squarely on the most innocent members of our society, children, white children, which is exactly what has happened this week. The first absolutely horrible incident took place at the Mall of America in Minnesota. A 24-year-old black male named Emmanuel Aranda took this 5-year-old boy, Landen Hoffman, from his mother and brutally hurled him from the third-floor balcony at the mall. Aranda reportedly told investigators that he planned to kill an adult, but that did not work out, so he chose the boy instead. He said he lashed out after he had been coming to the mall for years to try to speak to women who rejected him. Aranda has 2 past convictions for assault at the mall, both in 2015, including one in which he threw a glass of water and a glass of tea at a woman who refused to buy him something. Aranda at one point was banned from the mall. There's been no mention in the article that this was a hate crime against Landen Hoffman. Landen is currently in the intensive care unit and is miraculously showing signs of recovery. There's also a huge fundraiser for him started by his family, where they have already raised almost $1 million to help pay for this beautiful boy's medical care. I have donated to help Landen, and I hope you will too. I'll leave the link in the description section below. The second violent act against innocent white children happened in Aurora, Colorado, where this guy, Ogeheli Gohini Atuna, whatever, was arrested on suspicion of using his vehicle to run over 2 boys ages 11 and 12. The boys were minding their own business, walking home after playing basketball, and allegedly Atuno circled the cul-de-sac several times before allegedly hitting the boys who were walking on the sidewalk, indicating he specifically targeted them. One boy was so badly injured his skull was fractured. No mention in the article of a targeted hate crime. The final act of brazen violence, which has been memory holed by the mainstream media, likely because it doesn't fit their ongoing white privilege narrative, happened in Quincy, Massachusetts, where 2 teenage boys assaulted a pregnant woman outside a downtown post office. The pregnant woman was throwing up outside the post office when Tyrese Johnson nurse and David Russell were laughing at her and spit on her. They got into the woman's face and began punching her in the head as she screamed that she was pregnant. The teens also attacked the boyfriend. The woman told police that Russell had kicked her in the stomach and said, quote, "I hope he dies." They were arrested on charges of aggravated assault and battery on a pregnant woman and assault and battery. However, Russell, the more dangerous of the 2, is expected to be released with a GPS monitor and was not required to post bail, but must stay away from the woman and any witnesses and remain in his house except to go to work. What the hell is going on? Yet another hate crime against a white person, and nowhere in the article does it even make mention of this fact. The double standard here is so beyond ridiculous. Do I even need to bother to point out what the reaction would be if the races were reversed in any of these cases? My guess is there would be riots. The black pill here is expect more hate crimes of this nature to occur as the mainstream media, intellectuals, and Hollywood continue to ratchet up the anti-white rhetoric. This problem is only going to get worse. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to press the bell beside the subscribe button so you can be notified as soon as I post a new video. YouTube is suppressing my videos again. Surprise, surprise. Thank you so much for the support, fellow patriots. Have a great day.